Hello, everybody. My name is Colton from Colton Iverson Writing, Colton Iverson1 on Twitter, and Pen and Grimoire on Instagram. I am here today with a fantastic guest, C.H. Smith. Could you give yourself an introduction, friend?
Hey, how you doing? My name's Craig Smith. I write under pen name C.H. Smith. I'm the father of three, the oldest being 6 years old, so it's always mass pandemonium at my house. Uh, Anytime I get a chance to write is a blessing.
Yeah.
We live in Texas right now, but we've lived in most of the states in the Southeast. Um, so one of the things that's a little different from me than others is I came to this writing game a little later than most, or at least most of the colleagues I'm with now. I'm on touching 40, and yeah, I put my first book out last year, but I'm gonna call it seasoned and not old.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, you're not old. You look great. Plus, you have like the Patrick Rothfuss look going on with the beard, and so
The, he,
yeah.
he needs to finish that trilogy. I get it, but The Name of the Wind is the book that really got me kick started back into the fantasy world.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you mentioned him. So
No,
it was a huge compliment.
you guys could be brothers. I'll have to say that. So I won't give my opinions on famous authors finishing their works, because I have some strong opinions on them. But anyway, we're here for you, Craig. We're here for you. So one of my first questions, and this is usually what I ask most people, is, and it's because they all just have very unique and individual answers. But what inspires you to write?
And again, this is another place where I'm a little different. Most
Hmm.
people pick these great authors or a book that changed their lives, and uh, me, it's everyday life.
Hmm.
I see something or an interaction between two people, and I see how it went, how it could have gone, and or a situation someone's in. Um, those are the things that inspire me. People stepping out, stepping up above their own expectations of their self. To me, is so inspiring, and I like to capture that on the page.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's really beautiful, actually, because I think a lot of people, yeah, like you said, they're inspired by famous writers and they want to write epic stories. Um, but I think sometimes people forget to write real people in the fantasy books.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
and, yeah,
we get so caught up in the magic systems and the world building, and even in the character depth, but we
yeah,
put so many layers of stuff not based in reality. Sometimes I got to reel myself in, and every book's about the characters, plain and
yeah,
simple. You can have the best plot in the world, and if the characters aren't there, it's not a very good book. But we got to make sure the characters are real,
yeah,
and relatable. Even if we don't like the characters, they got to be real and relatable.
yeah,
And that's why I feel like my best inspirations from real life people, real life events.
yeah. No, I definitely agree. I mean, how many times do you hear people talk about like, oh, I love to hate this villain? They're
Yeah,
just how many times is the villain the best character? Because they're the
absolutely.
ones driving the story. Because the hero is some young upstart who's trying to save the world, but a lot of times the villain's the most proactive person in the story. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
The deepest character a lot of times is the guy that's seeking his revenge in a negative way, the villain
yeah.
of the story.
Yeah, and I mean, people love anti-heroes, so there's some, I don't know why, if it's people spend more time on the villain or whatnot, but a lot of times, yeah, the villain is great. But I definitely agree with you right there. And well, being as seasoned as you are, you're not old, you're seasoned. Uh, would you say that your life experiences have shaped how you're writing with like your specific stories?
Absolutely. And not just mine, the people that I'm around, the people that I used to spend a lot of time with that I don't get to see as much anymore. But social media allows me to still be a part of their life,
Yeah,
which is real unique because I can kind of put them in a time capsule, and that person's always the same to me because I'm not around them as much anymore.
hmm,
But I get to watch as their story progresses and really use that for fuel for characters um, and it's really amazing when you think about the opportunities we have to stay connected, to hear each other's personal stories that people like me and you can put on the page. It's pretty awesome time to be alive.
I completely agree. I mean, before, let's say it's been maybe 10 minutes, I didn't even know you really. Like we talked over messaging, but I hadn't even really seen your face or heard your voice. So it's really amazing what we can do. The connections we have. Speaking of connections like that, some people say don't get married, don't have relationships because it'll hinder your writing. You mentioned it can slow you down because you're having to deal with 3 kids, but has your family helped your writing in any way?
I am very blessed. I have a family, a wife that, although she is not a reader, she is very supportive of my weird dragon hobby, as she likes to put it. My kids are really too small to really enjoy it. My oldest is 6, and he's really starting to ask some questions and know that that's daddy's book and all that, which is real neat. And I do run some stuff by them, my 6 and my 4-year-old. But I'm very I will say this: my dedication in my next book will say something like, here's to my family, my wife and kids. Without y'all, I'd have finished this 6 months earlier or something like that. But I'm very lucky to have the family and the support system that I have.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, I think it's, especially if you're able to share your stories with them. Even if they're too young to understand, or your wife isn't the biggest reader, it's having them there to support you and is always that's really nice. That is really nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so I saw that like on your author bio on Amazon that you sold fishing lures for a while. Do you feel that selling fishing lures helped you be a writer in any way?
Well, I'll tell you this: I worked in big box retail, and I worked in several states. In the actual selling of the fishing lures, maybe not, but the range of people that you got to meet and interact with on a daily basis, from the employees to the customers to your regulars, it all adds fuel to the characters, and actually to a plot coming up in a book very shortly, which is really unique. We were lucky enough, blessed enough to live in the Keys for a few years and sell some fishing lures down there. And there's some great stories out of the Florida Keys that a lot of people don't understand, or won't understand at first anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Florida has lots of interesting stories coming out of it all the time. I don't know how well they probably could be considered fantasy based on some of the articles that I see, but that's awesome. Do you have a favorite area that you've lived in from all the places that you've been?
The Florida Keys, the blue water is amazing, but you are stuck on a rock.
Yeah.
It's one road in, one road out. You can feel kind of trapped sometimes. Texas is great. The people are nice. Food's okay. But honestly, South Alabama, South Mississippi, I'm a big fella. You can see I'm a big fella. It is a proven fact. The farther you get away from New Orleans geographically, the worse the food gets.
Okay.
So probably South Alabama, some of the best food I've ever eaten in my life, and I do miss some good quality seafood.
Okay, then I'm a huge fan of seafood. I'm from Washington area, so I've had lots of good seafood, and I've lived in Asia for a couple of years, so I've had lots of good seafood. But would you say that the seafood you've had is probably better?
I've had seafood from a few other places up northeast and all that. I'm very partial to a little bit of spice, a little bit of kick to go with your seafood. So yeah, I like our stuff down south a little bit better.
Okay. If I'm ever down there, I'll have to ask for recommendations on where to eat. Anyway, back to the fantasy stuff. Back to the dragon hobby stuff. So another question I had is, your stories seem to have a very at least your fantasy stories that I've looked at, they seem to have a very classic feel to them. I saw in one of the reviews, like, comparing it to C.S. Lewis, which I definitely get some of the feel from. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what it feels like. And so, why do you like to tell these somewhat classic fantasy stories that, aren't seen as popular these days because everybody's looking for that dark and gritty stuff?
Right. This is a two-pronged answer, and this is one I actually get question I actually get quite a bit. The first one is when I'm reading a book, I want to escape to a different world.
Mm.
I want it to be a fairy tale. So when I'm writing, I want it to be a fairy tale. I want it to be a classic fantasy. So if you're my age and reading it, it takes you back to your youth.
Yeah.
And my target audience is probably young adult, middle grade for a lot of my stuff. And I want them to have a very clean experience, a very something they can relate with their parents who are readers or anybody else that's readers that's read some of the classics a little bit better or a little bit more. So that's one prong of it. The other side is that's what I like to read. That's where it's going to be. I mean, Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, even as early as like Raymond E. Feist, The Magician, and stuff. That still has that classic feel that today's fantasy is a lot edgier, I guess.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I've interviewed a couple people where they're writing for a more fairy tale vibe or a fairy tale type story, and my current work in progress is a fairy tale meant to be a lot like the classic fairy tales of just a quest fantasy trying to stop the darkness. Very, very classic, but I'm trying to put a twist on it. Do you have any advice for anybody trying to write something like that? A little selfish for this question because I want to know, but anybody else out there?
There's a simple reason why there's so many quest stories out there is because they're great.
Yeah.
Meaning you can start at the same place with the same two characters fighting the same bad guy, and after 2 chapters, our quest will not be the same.
Yeah.
That's what's wonderful about it. I mean, The Princess Knight, my debut, is definitely a quest. Yeah. The princess is cursed early on, and she has to go on a quest across the kingdom to try to find a cure. I mean, as classic as you can be on the quest deal, even to the point of having a talking animal sidekick.
Yeah.
So, but it's comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with comfortable. A lot of people want to be on the edge and doing something new, and that's great, and more power to you. But it's not the stories that I like. I like the stories. I want to go with Bilbo out as get swept out the front door.
It's really, really beautiful. Because there's got to be a reason why so many of these stories are still written today. If it was not good, or if people just were tired of it, we wouldn't write it, So I think there is still a market for it, and I think people will continue to come back to these types of stories no matter how old they are, because if you write a story with good characters, clean, like you said, and something timeless that really isn't chasing trends or won't go out of style, then you're definitely going to write something that is going to last.
That's the plan and hope.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Oh, hello.
Hey. We're getting close to bedtime.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Very nice. So one of my last questions for you, Craig, is do you think people need an English degree to be a writer?
Absolutely not. I do have an English degree from Belhaven College in Jackson, Mississippi. Unfortunately, I don't know that it has helped me at all. My editors will definitely attest to the fact that I did not pay attention on the grammar side of my English degree. Yeah. Again, I don't draw a lot of my inspiration from books, from classic literature, from whatever your study would be in an English degree or a modern British literature degree. I draw mine from experience. Am I lucky to have been exposed to a lot of the great works, or forced to be exposed to a lot of the great works and different viewpoints? And maybe that's where it helps me the most, how I learned early on that 2 people or 10 people can read the same 2 chapters and come up with 5 different things that it means. Until they start talking about it, then there's 25 different things that it means. So maybe I learned that early on, not not to take one person's opinion with as ironclad, to understand that everybody's going to read something a little different, see something a little different. As a reader, I try to understand what the author's telling me. I don't believe that it can mean anything to anybody. I think the author had a reason he wrote it. As a writer, there's definitely a reason I put the words in the order I put them in. And I want readers to discover that and find it. But if it means something else to them and they get there that way, that'll work too.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, one thing I've heard from a couple different authors, and some of these authors have gotten their English degrees, others haven't. They say, you don't need to. And I love that answer because for a while, that's what I was going to do, was get my English degree, be a professor, and write on the side. But I'm really glad I didn't, because I've learned so many things in so many other fields, and I don't think I would have liked being an English major all that much. So
yeah, right out of college, I don't know that I could have written a story that was mine. I could have hacked together other people's stories and put something together, but I couldn't have written a story that was mine. And now with my life experience outside of academia, I can.
Yeah, that's really nice. Well, do you have any advice for people who are trying to write maybe a more original story that isn't just piecing together all the most popular stuff or the most classic stories?
There's the old saying, write drunk and edit sober. I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm not a big drinker anymore, and some of the people from my past will definitely laugh at that, but I'm not a big drinker anymore. But I definitely think you need to edit sober. You need to rewrite sober. You need to be as wild and crazy, and whatever comes to your mind on the first draft, get it on the page. Because until it's on the page, you can't do anything with it.
True.
If you write 10,000 words and they're horrible, you can do something with that. But if you have 10,000 words stuck in your head that are great, you can't do anything with it. So get the words on the page. And I really need to listen to my own advice, because I need to get book 2 of the Dragon's Honor series out. I really do, but it's Jackson's story has really went in a different direction than I thought it was going to go. I thought we were going to do this really inner exploring of him, and come to find out we really just want to go on a grand adventure and have a good time with some new friends. So we had to back up and punt a little bit, but get the words on the page. Sit down, write. If it's 30 minutes today, and you do that every day, it'll be 45 minutes next week that you're able to sit down and accomplish the same goal. Up to an hour. Oh, you got a kitty cat on? We got a kitty cat on our hand.
Oh, adorable. I love kitty cats.
So, yeah, but just get the words on the page and go from there.
That is always the advice I give as well. One of my videos on here is just like 8 tips for writing books, and every tip is just write. It's like write every day, even if it's half an hour, a couple hours, or even 10 minutes. As long as you're writing every day, you will eventually finish your book.
So, absolutely.
Thank you. You have some very good seasoned advice for all the people out there. So I really appreciate that. Well, Craig, thank you so much for coming on and for giving your wisdom and for sharing all this stuff with us. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about something we're passionate about, and I am passionate about the things I'm able to get in front of the readers, and it's a blessing to be able to talk with you, Colton. I do appreciate it, and I look forward to many more books out there and many more conversations in the future.
Of course. Is there anything you would like to shout out or to talk about before we head off?
Shameless plug, The Princess Knight's new cover.
There we go.
And Nothing More Than Zero, book 1 of 4 of the Dragon's Honor series. They're out. They're on Amazon, and my paperbacks are actually on sale for a little while. Oh. We're going to keep them down at $8.99 for right now. Okay. And then coming up, right around the release of this video, me and several of my indie author friends that I've met across Instagram and all that, we're kind of teaming up and doing our Kindle countdown deals together. These are folks that I've read their books. I believe in the power of their stories, and hopefully they believe the same in mine. But I believe in the power of their stories, and we're going to get together and we're going to do it big here to kick off the summer event. So looking forward to that. And other than that, if you're a writer, you should be writing and not watching this. If you're a reader, you should be reading and not watching this.
You
So
know, you know what? I will agree with that. If you're a writer out there, like, take the advice, but just get writing. Just do it. It'll help you. You'll feel much better. Stop procrastinating. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Check out all of Craig's stuff. It'll be in the description, but just look him up. He has awesome books. I haven't been able to finish them yet, but I've read the first parts of them, and they're nice. Especially the princess is the princess. Is it the Princess Knight or the Princess's Knight?
The Princess Knight.
Okay. I always mess it up, but the Princess Knight starts out a lot different than you're expecting. So I would highly recommend it. It's very intriguing. So everybody, thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye.